I told you this guy's a genius.
Self-proclaimed, maybe.
Well, as long as it works for him.
Exactly my point.
Awesome. Alright, this is the night. Let's start somewhere. The dark night of the soul. Like I said, I'm just documenting everything I did to get to where I want to be. Now, let's try to be a bit specific. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Well, we talk about, this is my diary, basically. Diary of, somebody who's, I have a bag full of food. I have myself. My backpack is full with stuff as well. I have some movies to help me push through. I'm not quite sure. I'm just going back. And, I just came from there. Now I have to go back into madness, into being alone. I was actually hoping that there was more money on my account and then I would have ordered rapé. Well, that was not the case. I still have minus 47 euros. I'm not saying that, as a sign of pride or something. I'm simply saying that to show you how determination looks like. I mean, I'm on the verge of cracking. We talk about spiritual enlightenment. What does that mean? I just finished a 500-page book. And that's knowledge that I have in myself. I can express whatever spirituality is, whatever enlightenment is. I can express it in so many ways. I can express it in art. This is my 30th book. I'm just saying. And for the last couple of months, since February, nobody has bought a single copy of any of my books. Alright, today I checked and I have 109 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Alright, but I'm still not sure if they're just gonna kick me out. There's when I'm trying to, because I don't know what I all did. I've done so much stuff, I cannot keep track of, when I visited a porn site during a recording, because, I'm going insane over this. I'm trying to do something, and I'm trying to not screw it up. I'm not sure what I'm doing. That's a fact. I'm not sure what I'm doing. The only thing I'm sure about is that I have the feeling I have to do this. I also have the feeling there might be, my own family at the end of that road. Because going through madness pushing through madness and keeping a somewhat level head, I have madness inside of me. It's like bubbling out of myself. And I just downloaded, because I have all these Medium posts, and there were still 317 left. The ones that did not make it into the first book of Crazy Wisdom. And each of these posts had, most of them had an image. And one had more than 50 images. It's like, I was downloading them while my parents were watching a movie, and I was like, what the fuck did I all do? I don't remember half of the shit. Yeah, that's an understatement. I don't remember 90% of the shit that I did. I know that I did a lot of stuff, but I cannot understand what I was all doing. All I know is that what I'm doing makes no sense. Like, people come to me, they say stuff, makes no sense. I do things and people come to me and tell me I should stop. It makes no sense, They say it to me even through telepathy. And if you're still doubting that exists, yeah, sorry, that's your problem. I know it exists. Because I'm feeling it, I'm hearing it, and I don't understand it. Like, why do people tell me something on the inside, but they don't come to me and say it on the outside? I can hear people's thoughts, literally. That makes no sense. Like, how does that make sense? Spirituality makes no sense. The point is that if you feel like these things are true, if you feel like these things are real, then what does that mean? If you also have the feeling that you can hear people's thoughts, that's what this is about. If you have the feeling that you can hear people's thoughts, if you have the feeling, life is about more than just the surface, that life is also about depth and going into things and learning about yourself and experiencing yourself in a myriad of levels, then this is probably the right place. But don't expect to get a lot of sense here. The only thing you may get here is, just a fellow human being that's struggling. I'm struggling through my life. I assume the vice president of whatever country is struggling in his life. I don't think that there's an awful lot of people that really know what they're doing. I don't think that there is a lot of people who really know what's going on. I think you just do something that you feel like, yeah, I'm actually good at this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know where all of this stuff is coming from. No matter what I'm saying, I've described, I've said the things where I say, this is where it comes from, This is the primordial soup, is love and energy, and that makes no sense. No matter how I try to understand it, I know it already, but I just can't express it. I'm trying to express to you what I feel with words, and it's impossible because every one of us gives a different meaning to a word. Like, you give different meanings to different words, and I'm just, I just have the feeling, I just have to do this, right? I just accept, yeah, my parents are paying my apartment. I go to them, I pick up food, I go back home, and I go nuts. I go nuts on the internet, and that makes no sense. But what makes sense is, people are drowning in shit. People are drowning in fear because the materialistic trip, is reaching its climax, just before the collapse. That's like, if we go any further, you know, the whole system is just gonna collapse. Because you cannot just piggyback on the system. Like, you know, everybody's doing that. You have to take responsibility for how you feel and for the way you live, for your health. If you keep relying just on the system to keep you healthy, then you're gonna run into trouble and then you're going to die like flies. You know, I'm saying that because it's the truth. You know, they cannot maintain this. People are wasting away in front of screens instead of getting together and, you know, talking quietly at the fire, or just humming together, or making music, or singing, or going hiking. You know, there's probably not even enough nature left for all of us to go hiking anymore. You know, we made sure of that. So I'm going hiking in my own nature. I want rapé, like badly, you know, because that's like 5 minutes of escape. But it's not only 5 minutes of escape. What is it also? It's, you know, apart from being 5 minutes of escape, or 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, or just an excuse to sleep or something, you know, what else is rapé? You know, it feels like healing or something, right? But at the same time, I go to my parents, I talk to them, I have the feeling, I have the feeling, you know, what they seem to show me is they don't know what I'm doing. But then I get the feeling, I think they know exactly what I'm doing. They know exactly who I am. They know exactly who they are. They just don't say it. They know exactly what's going on. And still they want to test me. Still they want to see. You know, still they want to give me the feeling that I should stop. That it makes no sense. So why would they do that? And then you can say, well, it's part of the game. Nobody has any interest in what I'm doing. You know, today I published post number 1800 and whatever, 93 or something. Still 22 followers. You know, it's like there's nobody on Instagram. That's how I feel like. Because it makes no sense. Because you would think, you know, if I just keep posting and I just show, you know, I'm here, you know, I'm not gonna kill myself, you know, I can keep doing this. But there's just nothing. You know, the breakthrough I had was 4 requests on Instagram from brands that try to sell me, you know, that try to use me to sell their products. Yes, sorry, I mean, have you looked? Yeah, of course, these are just computer programs. Because if there would be a person behind this, they would never send me these requests. Because do I look like somebody who wears sunglasses? Yeah, very unlikely. I mean, I can just stare into the sun directly. Why would I need sunglasses? You know, it's like, it's so ridiculous. So, I don't know what's going on. Like, seriously. I cannot tell you what's going on. Why am I recording this? Seriously. Why am I recording? Why am I creating all of this content, you know? When I wrote the book, I felt so sure, you know, oh yeah, this is so good. And then I go there and I publish it and I show it to my family and they try to be interested in it. You know, they really try, but they just don't understand what I'm saying. You know, they really just don't understand what I'm saying. And when I meet people, you know, they smile. But as soon as I would start talking to them, you know, I can guarantee you that they would stop smiling. They would stop smiling, and that's safe. Like, I don't know what's going on. And this cannot be explained simply through words. You know, that's an experience. And that's something that you read in books like Autobiography of a Yogi. That's something you hear from accounts from Ram Dass or from Terence McKenna. And I haven't taken any psychedelics for a very long time now. Like, very long time. And this is continuing. It doesn't stop. It just continues. You know, taking a psychedelic gives me like 10 minutes where I have the feeling, you know, I can just do nothing because, you know, I've just ingested a psychedelic agent. But I'm psychedelic. You get that? I am psychedelic. Every being on this earth is psychedelic. So there are no psychedelic substances. So what are we taking? You don't need this. Because the psychedelics, you could say, they just show you a place in yourself. So why are we eating this? You know, why are we here? What are we doing here? What's the purpose of all of this? Because if this is really just a dream, then why the fuck do I have to dream this? Like, right, there are people who believe, yeah, we made soul contracts and you come here because your soul has a purpose. But why? Why does it have a purpose? It makes no sense. You know, for what reason would I have a purpose? You know, who? You know, because if I have a purpose, then what you also have to understand is, like, who gave me that purpose? Did I give myself this purpose? So, I don't like spirituality. Not really. I don't like what they say in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, it's always the same and we've been here 1,000 times. You know, just because somebody had a flashback or a deja vu, you know, people assume. To me, that's all just assumptions. To me, that's all just assumptions. People assume that we've been here before because there's no proof. There's no proof. You know, maybe it is all completely, you know, scientific. Maybe there is nothing more than, you know, I'm basically an ape that through evolution, and maybe, you know, apes did take, like, that's the stoned ape theory from Terence McKenna. Maybe they did ingest psychedelic truffles, and then they started to develop language, and they started to get bigger brains. Or maybe they started to eat meat, you know, it's all possible. And then they just banded together and they hunted and, you know, suddenly we've got humans. I don't think so. Because, you know, thinking isn't doing anything for me anymore. You know, I cannot think myself out of this. It doesn't work. I just have to accept it and then I just continue. And, you know, that's when I say, yeah, sure, I don't like the Bhagavad Gita, but that's better than, you know, I used to be an ape. It's like, no, my closest relative is an elephant shrew or something. That makes no sense. I mean, what is it even supposed to mean? My closest relative, you know, genetically is a shrew? It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, I thought this was like chimpanzee or something. You know, what is it supposed to be? It makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense. And the night is worse. Like, the night is worse than the day. Like, during the day, I feel like, yeah, sure. I mean, during the day, I'm light. You know, I basically know everything, you know, everything's kind of certain. But in the night, in the darkness, you know, try pinning down someone in the darkness without these fancy electric lights around. You know, you cannot distinguish shapes from each other. I mean, you go through the forest at night, you don't know what you're seeing. You know, I should actually go through the darkness. I sometimes do that. I'm not, you know, yeah, I'm just gonna go home because, you know, I've worked a lot and I don't know why I'm recording myself right now. I think I just want to prove to myself, you know, I can do this, you know, I can be really tough, I can be really strong, I can be really whatever. And, you know, I think I'm going to prove it to the world, right? There's something that I can do, you know, even if I might not understand it. But what's the point? I mean, you know, just imagine you're Rick. Only you're not Rick in terms of, you know, I cannot make gimmicks that kill people and keep me alive. No, I make art. It's like, you know, would you take Rick serious if you were an artist? Yeah, you know, I think I would, but nobody does. You know, Rick doesn't have an awful lot of friends. And neither do I. Because as soon as I try to open up to people, they get jealous. Because everybody's an asshole, right? Or they try to destroy me because they don't like the idea that I exist. Because if I exist, they have the feeling, you know, they should be different, but I don't give a fuck how you are. You know, but if you annoy me, just leave me alone, right? I mean, there are so many things that, you know, so many reasons. I could just take these reasons and then I could just stop doing what I'm doing because I think, yeah, for this and that reason I could just stop. But the problem is I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Maybe I just have to invest enough trust and upload enough energy into the internet until the bubble bursts and people are like, oh wow, who's that guy? Oh yeah, it's Christopher. Because right now you could say I'm in hell. But at the same time, it feels like heaven because, yeah, sure, I spend a lot of time alone in my room. But, and that's the important part, nobody annoys me. I can do whatever I want, right? I can really push myself to the next level. Every day I have so many breakthroughs, so many things I understand, so much art I can make. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I have all the food that I need. I have all the water that I need. I have my own space. Yeah, I can't have sex. So what? Big deal. You know, I can't have sex. You know, that's almost like a rule. Don't have sex until we present someone to you. All right, you know, maybe that's gonna be never. Well, it's possible. You know, I feel like I'm 34, I'm getting really old, and then I have the feeling, no, I'm actually, you know, I'm like really fresh. I'm super young, you know, I'm super young. Because I have been rejuvenated through the practices that I use that are not just sitting around and meditating. You know, it's like I'm rejuvenating myself through my art. You know, people ask, you know, why don't you go fat? You know, people ask me, why don't you go fat? And I say, because I transform it all. You know, I transform it all. I don't sit around and watch a movie. You know, if I do watch a movie, you know, I reflect on it. You know, my mind is constantly transforming shit. I'm taking an emotion and I'm putting it on the scale of my heart. I look at it, you know, I feel hatred. Yeah? And then you can either be consumed by the hatred or you learn to see it from the loving side. You know, so now I've just talked myself through madness. So this stick here that I'm holding with the camera is like the safest way for me to enlighten. Every time I turn this thing on, I begin to feel much better and suddenly I'm back to myself. Suddenly, out of sheer nothing. You know, I just left from my parents, I felt really shaken, and I felt really shit. I drank 2 beer while I was there, and I felt shit and terrible and weird. And then what happens? You know, I leave and suddenly I feel different. You know, I'm like, I have the feeling I'm gonna get rapé from somewhere. And I can't explain to you why I have that feeling. It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. I know that I can drive people insane, you know, just by looking at them. Because people are really weird. I mean, they think I'm weird because I run around in bare feet and a poncho and I just talk to myself in English. Well, I talk to the camera. They think I'm weird. You know what's weird? Driving around in a car and worrying that somebody will come and scratch it. You know, it's like you have a car accident and then you make a problem out of it and you get out of the car and you're like, oh no, now we have, you know, look at the damage. And, you know, if you don't make a problem out of it, the other guy will, or the other woman, or whatever. And it's like women buying these small dogs that I was just talking about earlier. You know, that makes no sense at all, and it will never make sense. You know, why do they do this? Why do they live in this kind of weird dream where they need small dogs to bring them happiness? Like, yeah. You know, 10 years from now, that dog's gonna be dead. And you're gonna be like, ah, and then you're gonna get a new one. it's like, is that the kind of life that you wanted? Is that the kind of life that you were thinking of? You know, driving around in a car every day somewhere? You know, I don't get what people do. You know, I don't get, you know, I say I'm a genius, but that's just the natural state of a human. I think, you know, if you start cleansing. And anybody can cleanse and let go, because, you know, I don't sit around investing my energy into other people's businesses. No, I invest my energy into some people, and I invest my energy into my art. You know, that's like pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of waste, if you know what I mean. I'm not wasting a lot of energy. You know, I'm not going around screwing women all over the planet. You know, I'm not going running anymore. Sometimes I do, because my energy's already gone. And I don't know why I keep seeing this AK. You know, basically every time I look on a driver's license plate, I see AK. And AK are the initials of a woman that I once dated for some time. I liked her, that's for sure. I liked her, that's for sure. But we kind of separated, and then we were with others, and that was the one that I was talking about when I met this woman with the dog today, and she reminded me of her. You know, I don't know who I'm supposed to want. You know, am I supposed to attract anyone into my life? Or am I just supposed to do what I'm doing and then trust that, you know, one day somebody's gonna come? Have I already met this woman? Because, you know, believe me or not, I want to be with a woman. I just don't know who it is. You know, sometimes I think maybe it's gonna be several women. I mean, that's, you know, it sounds like heaven, but that's as much hell as anyone can, you know. The women I've met, they're just nuts. I mean, you don't want to be with 3 women at the same time. You know, I don't want to be with 3 women at the same time, I think. Because every woman that I've met is just crazy. I mean, and I'm crazy. So why would there be 3 women that would want to be with me? It makes no sense. So, you know, I'm trying to think, you know, what would be the perfect woman for me? Well, basically a woman that just likes me. You know, just likes me. Me specifically, as an individual, you know, just likes me specifically. But I also have ideas of what and who I like, and that's my entire point, you know. I don't want to be with a woman that thinks buying a really small dog would be the thing to do. I don't want to be with a woman that has a dog at all. And I don't want to be with a woman that got drunk at a party and had a child. You know, with someone she doesn't even know, right? I want to be with a woman that has her shit together and that somehow knows what's going on. Because if I feel like today, you know, it's nice to know that there's someone that feels a little bit like you, or that knows how you're feeling. But all the people that I meet, I don't know, they have the feeling they have no idea how I feel. I try to explain it, but that just makes no sense. And the more I talk about these things, the less I have the feeling it makes sense to talk about. Why is this not going green? Why is this not just turning green? Why is this not just turning green? Now it's turning green, you know, worth the wait. Worth the wait. And I fucking hate this. You know, I'm just pretending to like creating all of this content because I think I'm going to get something out of it. And that's the truth. You know, I think I'm gonna get the life that I think I should want. Because I think, you know, there should be a woman that like, you know, that's just the honest opinion that I have. You know, I want a woman that would want to worship me. Because, you know, I can worship women. But I've never met a woman that worshipped me. Okay. There's a woman with them. City people are fucking idiots. They walk around. They smell like Dio. They don't even know who they are. And that's a fact. City people are really weird. You know, it's like, I just have to say boo, and you're gonna shit your pants or you're gonna attack me. And everybody's like a weird crook, right? If I walk around and I have a camera, you know, why do I have to feel afraid that somebody's gonna mug me? You know, why does this stuff exist? It's so weird. You know, I feel like often I don't want to live in such a world, but I do, right? And if people think you're crazy, you know, they think they can attack you, which is why, like, you really have to learn to keep your shit together. And that's a really fair point. Like, you really have to learn to keep your shit together. Like, really have to learn to keep your shit together. Otherwise, you're just easy prey. You know, they're just gonna sedate you, put you in a weird, like, kind of, how do you want to call that? In like one of these things that, yeah, I mean, I think you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, now I'm going to switch left hand, right hand. And the good thing is I can switch. You know, from 1 second to the next, I can just switch. You know, I can be mad now, and then when somebody's there, I can just be sane, because I know how to be both. So, you know, if I allow myself sometimes to be mad and to have no hope, then I'm just doing it because it's too hard to always just trust. Because sometimes I also want to see, okay, how does the other side look like? Because sometimes being this trusting, loving self is too boring, so I just switch. And, you know, that's already something that scares people, that I can just switch. It's like that story I told you, you know, where I was with someone and I was crying, honestly crying, you know, and then it's like, oh yeah, you know, from that perspective I can get you. And suddenly I just stop and I say, without showing any sign that I'm still holding any of that sadness, I just let it go and I just said, yeah, so what? That's weird to people, because people think, you know, if I'm angry now, I have to be angry tomorrow. You know, if I feel miserable now, I have to be miserable tomorrow. You know, I can feel miserable now until I realize that I feel miserable, or until I realize why I feel miserable, because I've actually looked for a reason that's making me feel like this. Like, where does the feeling coming from? Where is the feeling coming from? And once I know, you know, I can just let go of the feeling. I can just let go of the feeling. And then it's suddenly gone. And then I'm from, you know, suddenly like, hey, now I'm better again. And I already did this as a child. You know, I already did this as a child and nobody understood how I was able to do this. I was tired now, and the next moment I was jumping around. You know, and then you would go to a doctor and then they say, yeah, why is my child so tired all the time? Well, because maybe he's just mimicking you, right? Children mimic their parents. Sometimes I mimic people and then I'm realizing that I'm doing this and then I stop. And right, I just figured out a lot of the things. You know, in a way I realized, okay, I have the feeling my parents are not just gonna cut me off and throw me out, you know. So in a way, I'm also taking advantage of this. Yeah, and you could say, in a way, right, people also want me to, because, you know, my parents can still take care of me, and that means they see me regularly. You know, I have time to spare, and that's something nobody has, because everybody's so busy, you know, everybody's so busy spending their time in watching a movie every night, right? They just sit around and they wait until it's 8 o'clock and then they go and watch a movie. All right, I mean, why do you invest your time into this, right? Why do you have to invest your time into watching a movie? I mean, you could do something else. You could write a diary, but you don't want to. Okay, you don't want to, but I want to. You know, I just published a 500-page book that weighs 1 kilo. Crazy wisdom, right? It's insane. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you know, it would probably take you, you know, 5 years to understand it, to even grasp it in the slightest. You know, I did not need to read a book like this. You know, I listened to Ram Dass. You know, at first I understood a little. And the more experiences I made, and the more I listened to him, the more I understood. Because you just keep pushing it. And most people, they would probably stop listening to Ram Dass or just listen to him all the time. You know, I also have times where I do not listen to him. You know, there are times where I just stop listening to Ram Dass. Wow. And then I start listening to Ram Dass again. And, you know, then there are times where I don't listen to Terence McKenna. And then I start listening to him again. And then there are times where I, you know, listen to certain kinds of music. And then I stop listening to music. But at the moment, I don't know, you know, maybe I'm gonna make music again, right? I have a feeling I might. And that's the other point. You know, people watch and celebrate Rick and Morty. But if you would meet Rick in your life, you would fucking hate him. Because he outsmarts you in every way. I mean, you'd be Jerry, you know? He's impossible to... Rick is impossible to win against. So you would simply have to accept that there are things that Rick knows. But you would also have to accept that he's kind of a dick sometimes, you know. It's like, Rick, I like the show. I like it. You know, some people, they may watch it, you know, they don't even think about who they would be in the show. Yeah, I would be Rick. But more like, I don't know, maybe different kind of Rick. Yeah. I don't actually think that he really drinks. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It never made any sense, and it will never make any sense. You know, that's as much sense as anybody can make. Just accepting that it makes no sense. And anybody who thinks it makes sense, they're just clinging. And that's the truth. Because spirituality is about letting go. And that's a bitch. Because to what degree am I supposed to let go? Why don't I let go of it entirely? Well, that's the trick, isn't it? To let go enough to still stick around so that you can do what you want and build the life that you envision, where you can accumulate people and wealth and then share it with others, right? You look for people who seem like they're on the verge of awakening or who are just looking for a different kind of life, and then you give them a chance to live it, right? And if you know how to make money, or you have an idea how you could make money, or you have certain abilities, and you feel like you can invest in yourself with trust. You know, that's how I invest in myself. I simply trust that I have certain abilities and that I can do things And, you know, that's what nobody ever did. And why? Well, they did, but not to the degree that I'm doing it now. I'm just driving it to the next level, because that's what humanity needs. We need trust, because that's something science does not have. You know, science needs a microscope to make sure, you know, they want to look. I don't need a microscope to go into detail. You know, I just like stare at it until it reveals all the secrets to me. You know, I engage with it. I go for a hike and then I figure it out. How did it make me feel? Why don't I go hiking now? Why am I not pushing it? You know, why don't I just walk off into the woods? Well, you could read or listen to Siddhartha, which is a book by Hermann Hesse. I listened to the audiobook, but it started to annoy me because I feel like that's not me. Because I wasn't born into a family and was trained in holding breath and meditation and all that kind of stuff. That's not my story. My story is probably, you know, more like kind of a peasant or something. You know, middle class. Well, in some way you could say to some that's like, looks like royalty, right? Because you live in a house and your family owns the house, but maybe because of credit, and then they worked hard to get the house. So, you know, some people feel like they can look up to that. It's just a model, it's an idea, you know, of a better life. But if that's not your life, then there's no way moping about it. I mean, you can mope about it, but what's the point? Or you just start working harder, but it's gonna be a drag. But everything's gonna be a drag. I mean, it's all a drag anyway. So you just give it your best shot. But if you don't believe in yourself, nobody can make you believe in yourself. You know, I meet people that I went to school with, and you know, they just got fat like everybody else. They just got fat. They just sit around, they eat, they go and shit, they sleep, and then they go and work for money, and they just sit in front of the TV, you know. And I go hiking barefoot, and they have cars, of course, you know, and you touch their right shoulder and they're like, ah, that hurts. Yeah, sure, man, why don't you work out? You know, just start doing push-ups or something, you know, just do something. Because if I can do it, why can't you do it? You're just letting society do its thing. You just sit around, you feel shit, you gave up hope. Why? Why did you give up hope? I don't get it. You know, maybe I just didn't give up hope because I've got parents that pay my apartment and it's super easy for me. Yeah, but I'm making it hard. You know, I could do easy, but my parents would never pay the apartment if I wouldn't do the work that I'm doing. And that's spiritual work. You know, you don't know how the situation in my family used to be. You know, you don't know where my family's coming from, how my parents also struggled, and how much I helped them. Also in these times, right, with curfews and stuff, right? And I don't know, the health pass or something. You know, you don't know how much I supported them emotionally. You don't know that. So don't be so eager to judge me, because you don't fucking know how much I support the people with what I'm doing just by existing, simply by speaking up, you know, against certain things, but speaking up for healing and for enlightenment. And you don't know how much I'm doing. You don't know how much I'm struggling. And I don't make it easy for people to see that. You know, I want them to figure it out for themselves, right? There are people who just do it no matter what, right? There are people who just do it no matter what. I could have just said, you know, I'm going to work like everybody else. I'm going to put my energy into some ridiculous company, and I'm going to sit around at home and do stuff like everybody else and just watch movies and not be conscious. And there were times where I said, yeah, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just go back? Why can't I just be like this or like that? Why can't I just have a lot of money and buy all the rapé that I want? Because if you don't earn it, you won't know what to do with it, right? If somebody just comes and gives you a house, you wouldn't know what to do with the house. You have to earn the house. And that's why people don't just enlighten. You know, they work for that. They don't just enlighten. They work for that. And everybody works in their own way. But you have to work. But you have to work in an honest way. If you just work to be rich or to be richer than others, yeah, nobody's gonna give you shit. You know, if that's your goal in life, to just be richer than others, nobody's gonna give you shit. No, you have to do community service, right? Rick's family kept him around, not just because he was the grandfather, but also because he brought fun, he brought adventure, he brought the spirit of change, the unexpected, and that's basically what I'm doing to people. You know, my life's kind of an adventure. You know, well, wow, we have a son that's kind of crazy. I mean, he does crazy things, or some things that people think they're crazy. You know, if he talks, I don't understand what he's saying. Wow, I mean, I think he's a genius, but I have no idea what he's saying. I mean, how many people have children like this? I think quite a lot. I think any child is kind of a genius. And some are, you know, you have like Luna Lovegood children, and you've got Hermione children, you know, eager to please. Then you've got Ron Weasley children. That's like the soccer, right? Who's like just a good friend to have. He sticks around, he's kind of loyal, he doesn't give up on you. Yeah, nice friend. I mean, I don't know many friends like that. There's not an awful lot of people that support you once you work with fear, because it's just too much for them, right? They just go back to their bubble, yeah, until something happens, and still something in their life happens that destroys their bubble, and then they're like all shaken. Well, and then you have a choice. Are you going to turn to anger, or are you going to turn to love? Because anger is downward spiral. Love is like, let's grow together. You know, anger is like, I'm gonna destroy you because you took her away from me. You know, I could do that. I could say, I think I fell in love with someone, but I'm not sure. Literally fell into it, but I'm not sure. You know, why do I keep seeing the streets, the car license plate with the AK, which are these initials? You know, is there something in it? And I say, fuck no. You know, then I'd rather stay alone. You know, not because I can't love her, but it's just, yeah, I'm not sure. And maybe I could love her, but I don't want to, simply because of the fact that I don't want it. And there are other women where I think, yeah, you know, no fucking way. You know, there's basically, I don't want to admit it, it's actually, you know, what's the truth? Is there one woman for me? There might be. But I haven't met all the women yet. And that's a valid point. I just know the last one that triggered me, that I felt like, you know, that could be it. I just know the last one. And until we meet again and look each other in the eye, you know, thinking that she's it would just be dishonest. Because that's all it would be, a thought, a nice thought. But like I said, I haven't met all the women yet, you know. there may be another woman out there that's actually it. And that would then remind me, because maybe I'm here and I'm looking for something, but I don't know what I'm looking for. And maybe I've been looking for a very long time, you know, I don't remember, because maybe I forgot. And then you can say, how is that possible? Well, I would suggest to you, there's a movie, I don't exactly know how it's called. It's something with a snake. The Serpent. It's a black and white movie about this guy in the Amazon rainforest who looks for someone to, because he's sick and he wants to do ayahuasca. And then he finds this shaman guy and he brings this, some kind of professor, like kind of a white dude. He brings him to, you know, he wants to bring him to where they can find the chacruna to make ayahuasca with and to heal him. And so they travel through the Amazonian rainforest. And the shaman was kind of, you know, he used to be conscious and then he lost it. He did not know why he lost it, because maybe his purpose was served for some time until somebody came and awakened him. And that's how I felt like. You know, the people that I met, they were the ones that awakened me. And they inspired me to stay awake. Because if I fall back into unconsciousness, then how can I be a ladder for others? How can I support others if I'm unconscious, if I don't, hold up the space, channel the energy? It makes no sense if you talk about it, but if I'm doing it, then I know I'm doing it. I can feel I'm doing it. You know, I know it, but sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget, and that's okay too, right? Like sometimes you have to forget. This is a drag. I'm just walking around. It makes no sense. I have an entire laptop full with videos that I still have to render, and it makes no sense. I just looked at, you know, all this artwork that I did. Why the fuck am I doing this? Am I just doing it for myself, to free myself of these thoughts and ideas, and that's why I put them on paper? But there's no end to them. I mean, it would be much smarter to simply stop thinking entirely, which is what I'm trying to do, right? I try that. But if I try, you know, if I stop thinking, you know, I start doing things again, you know, there's no end to it. I just have to do this, you know. You know, I've been given a lot of shit and now I have to transform it. I have to channel it into art. And so I'm a little bit pessimistic about that what I'm doing, you know, I feel like I'm really stuck in this loop. I don't know if it's an upward or a downward spiral, but seeing that it does get easier sometimes, as long as I continue, I just can't stop. I tried to stop, it's impossible, because stopping becomes so vicious, like you start feeling so bad. You know, I tried to stop. You know, I was smoking tobacco and HHC and all that kind of shit. I tried to stop, forget it, it's impossible. I tried for 2 weeks and it felt good for some time, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so I chose, okay, I'm going to push myself again. And I realized, all right, I don't know where I'm going with this. I have the feeling, you know, every day I think, you know, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and YouTube just deleted my entire channel. You know, I just really think that they're going to do this at one point, and then it's just gone. And then I'm free to do what? You know, what would I do instead? That's a very good question. You know, I've applied for a job at the Boulder Hall and nothing, right? I mean, now it's Saturday. I applied, I think last Saturday, no, Not last Saturday, last Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. I think it was last Wednesday. I went there, applied for a job, and then he said, okay, yeah, you know, I have to talk to my partner, he said. It's like, what do you mean? You're the boss. Yeah, I teamed up with someone, he said. I didn't ask him that, what do you mean you're the boss? But it's just like, what do you mean? And you're the boss. Yeah, well, he basically said it like, you know, I'm not sure if we need you or if we have space for you, because we just hired some people. And then I sent him an email directly on Monday. Today's Saturday. He hasn't responded yet. And so in the meantime, I just continue with my content, and then I think, well, am I gonna get the job? Because what I had the feeling I'm gonna get the job. But now I just continue to create a lot of content. And then the question is, you know, what's the relevance to any of this? Am I gonna get the job? Or am I not going to get the job? You know? Am I just going to burst through? You know, because I don't actually want to be reintroduced to working normally, but I can see how it actually would be nice to just do something normal, because I'm not, like, I can't be around people for long, or people can't be around me for long. You know, I often feel like they're actually happy when I'm gone. You know, that's my perspective, because I demand a lot, you know. I want things to happen, and now I stop.